Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp. "41% of America's waters flow down the Mississippi River Basin. From the smallest trickle to the mightiest river, this system drains 2/3 of the United States. Its multitude of tributaries extend their arms into 31 states and 2 Canadian provinces. For generations, the Mississippi overflowed its banks every spring and fed backwater swamps with nutrient-rich waters. But man, for navigation, straightened the river. He built levees so he could farm the land that was once swamp. To clear this land and to build his houses, man cut the trees along the tributaries. And he continued to develop the land along the river with no thought of the future. The land was over-farmed. The trees were overcut. Then the land failed to hold rainwater. The result, erosion. And man, who had built his farms and houses behind the levee, had to face the rising water. In 1927, a disastrous flood proved that the levee system was not enough to protect the people who had foolishly built in the floodplain. The Atchafalaya Basin in south-central Louisiana offered a solution. Levees were put up around North America's largest river basin swamp to build a floodway. From its junction with the Mississippi, the Atchafalaya flows 130 miles to the coast. Here at the control structure, about 30% of the Mississippi pours into the Atchafalaya River to make it the Mississippi's largest distributary. Since the basin is needed as a flood outlet to protect New Orleans during high water years, it is also a perfect place to keep undeveloped. The threat of flooding and the payment of flowage easements has not stopped the development of the Morganza floodway, the northeast part of the Atchafalaya Basin. Homes and farms here have taken much away from the productive wetland. But to the south lies a massive 1,400,000 acres of undeveloped hardwood bottomland, cypress tupelo swamp, and coastal marshland. If man can leave this land as a floodway, wet, wild, and free, our productive animal kingdom will remain forever. The sleek river otter can continue to seek its aquatic prey. For the predators, like the river otter, and the prey, like the yellow catfish, to exist, man must understand their ecosystem. From the smallest microscopic plants to the majestic white-tailed deer, all play a vital role. During the fall and winter, when the water level is low, the grass and annual plants have a chance to grow. With the coming of the yellowtop, the spring rains begin. The resurrection fern, an epiphyte or air plant, opens its fronds as the rain continues to fall. During a heavy spring rain, they can bloom forth in a matter of hours. The coming of spring also brings the crawfish out of its burrow to forage in the rising water. The annual plants are now growing profusely, and as the Mississippi pushes her snowmelt and rainwater from the north into the Atchafalaya, the yellowtop is submerged, providing food for the crawfish of the basin. There are millions of crawfish here because each female mudbug, as they are sometimes called, can have hundreds of offspring each year. When hatched, the young crawfish remain under her tail until they're big enough to venture out on their own. This one foraging for food could be in danger. The mother crawfish has much to contend with in raising her multitude of young. The warmouth perch is one among many which would like to feed on the young crawfish. The crawfish is one of the most abundant creatures in the swamp waters, but by no means is it the only one important to the overall life cycle of the Atchafalaya. The diving beetle is another member of the underwater community. The damselfly larvae, the grass shrimp, and the mosquito fish are among others that play a vital role. It all adds up to a dependence on one another. For the predator to survive, it must have a prey. And this simple law leads right to man himself, the master predator of this planet.
My God, what was that?
Oh, no, it sounded like an owl up there. Let's see if we can call him up.
Looks like you don't speak his language.
What happens to a river basin swamp when a bayou is channelized? The most obvious is the immediate loss in beauty. But what about the ecology of the swamp and the delicate chain of life? The crawfish, the river shrimp, the warmouth perch. Peter Bunch, a fisherman who lives in the Atchafalaya, has a strong opinion on the effects of dredging.
I've lived my whole life out here. I was raised out here. Lived my whole life right here in this Atchafalaya Basin. Made my living out here when I grew up, and ever since I've been here. You take when the people was raised out here when I was small, most of the people raised a family right out that river, drinking water right out that river. It was more pure than what it is now, you see. I understand that. Well, where would you go to get a good drink of water? You can't catch rainwater. That's coming through that polluted air. If you go down and get a well, that's from the ground, from the top. So where are you going to go get some? Where are you going to go to breathe some pure air? You ain't got that. The closer you get to the city or the town, that's the worse it gets. The further away you get, the better it gets. But still, you're not got what you used to have. If we could stop what we got right now, we'd accumulate some of the things back. Like our game, we'd accumulate that back. But if it continues the pace it's on there, we're not going to have anything. We ain't going to have anything. Nothing but a canal right through the basin. That'll be all there'll be to it. But Corps of Engineers do what they got in plan to do, to straighten up that channel out there in the Atchafalaya there, dig it deeper, and dike off these little bayous here with floodgates and everything. It would just ruin the crawfishing completely, and also the fishing too. There wouldn't be any high waters out here. This place is not any good without high waters. Some waters to put in for the crawfish to breed and to catch them too, so that you'd just be out, completely out. And also the fishing would be out if they would do that. So it would ruin the Atchafalaya Basin completely.
Because of its abundant fisheries, the Atchafalaya is one of North America's most important bird habitats. Young night herons wait at their rookery nest while mother goes in search of food. this time a crawfish. Even as animals like the largemouth bass, raccoons, and night herons consume uncounted tons of crawfish, man, through commercial and sport fishing, brings in a catch of up to 10 million pounds per year from the Atchafalaya. Delicious delicacies for a Louisiana crawfish boil.
Crawfish, crawfish, hot from the pot. Jojo and Marie gonna eat quite a lot. Catfish, frog leg, plenty good to eat. Atchafalaya crawfish is a Louisiana treat. Hey, crawfish, crawfish, got 'em by the tail. Can't turn 'em loose till I've had my fill. Yeah, Atchafalaya crawfish make a mighty good time.
In order for a large land mammal to live in a swamp and marsh habitat, it must adapt. The white-tailed deer of southern Louisiana has longer and wider hooves than the deer of the north. This gives it more support on the soggy terrain. Otherwise, these deer are the same as elsewhere, grazing on the abundant supply of grasses. The bucks usually feed alone, but the breeding season and the late winter's high water can group them together. The death of an old buck and the seasonal loss of antlers contribute minerals to the overall scheme of swamp life. The cotton rat gets calcium by chewing the shed antler. The rodent population is checked by a predatory bird, the barred owl. With silent flight and night vision, the owl hunts primarily at night. In the Atchafalaya, their diet consists of fish and rodents. The barred owl is a bird often seen and heard in the basin, but a species that is not and may even be extinct is the Ivory-Billed Woodpecker. Dr. George H. Lowry, noted professor of ornithology at Louisiana State University, was one of the last to see the ivory bill.
This is a museum study skin of an ivory-billed woodpecker. It was taken in Florida before the turn of the century. The species is now one of the rarest birds in North America, if it exists at all. There is, however, a strong possibility that a few of them may still remain in the Atchafalaya Basin. But much depends on whether or not that forest is preserved. A mature forest had many old dead trees that supported the wood-boring beetle on which the ivory-billed woodpecker fed. A young forest has relatively few of these dead trees.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Clay Furrier, executive producer of LPB, and welcome to Festival, LPB's membership drive. Now, you're watching Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp. And you know what? We're going to return to that program in just a moment. But first, we want to remind you that it is support from our viewers that made this program possible. Do you love those nature programs that PBS and LPB bring you each week? Then you know what, folks? This is your opportunity to vote for more of those programs by taking a moment right now and letting us know you value what you're seeing here with your pledge of support. You can call us at the toll-free number that's on your screen, 888-769-5000, or go online to lpb.org. As they say, volunteers are on the phone bank and they are standing by, and they'll help you select the perfect gift for you. We have many especially selected for this broadcast, and we're going to share them with you in just a moment. But first, I'd like to introduce you to the man, the myth himself. There he is, filmmaker C.C. Lockwood. C.C., welcome to LPB again.
Clay, good to be here.
Good to have you back. Good to have this program on again. And you know what? I think first and foremost, we have a special member challenge for this break only, don't we?
We do.
Okay, let's go for it. All right, here we go.
Well, I tell you what, the Baton Rouge Members Challenge, donors of $1,500, Marilyn Bramer, Susan Bush, Mary Danka, Harriet McDonald, Harriet Miller, Mark Posner, Mary Terrell Joseph, and Andrea and Wally McMakin.
Now what they're going to do is they're going to effectively double your pledge up to the first $1,500. So this is it. If you're enjoying this type of program, if you want to see more nature programs here on LPB, this is the break to do it in. Those folks that CC mentioned are going to be doubling that pledge up to $1,500. It's a great way, and you'll have some great gifts coming on in here. You know what I think we ought to do? We ought to go through those gifts, as a matter of fact. So
good deal.
Let me start with a few things here, and then I'm going to ask you about this very special offer that you've got coming up. So if you got a Visa, a MasterCard, American Express, a Discover, or you want the sustaining membership, you call the folks at 888-769-5000. For your $180 pledge, which is only $15 a month, you'll receive Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp, the DVD, that's the program you're seeing right here, Louisiana Wild, and Atchafalaya, that's autographed books by C.C. Lockwood, and something very special. The first 10 callers tonight will receive a numbered poster from C.C. So call us right now again at 888-769-5000. Let's go to a $120 pledge, which if you do the math is only $10 a month. You'll receive the Louisiana Wild autographed book by C.C. Lockwood. And $72 or only $6 a month is all it takes to get Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp DVD to add to your video collection. And now, CC, there's something very special for the major credit card offer. That's for a credit card contribution of $1,500 or more. What have we got for them?
Well, I'm going to take three
Johnny,
people.
tell us what we got.
3 people out in the Atchafalaya. The water's
Okay.
up. The animals will be everywhere.
Wow.
And we're going to do that in about 3 or 4 weeks. And it's a wonderful trip to see my favorite place in the whole world, the Atchafalaya Basin.
Okay, are they going? What type of animal life are you going to see with something like this?
You know, when the water's up like this flood year, beavers' lodges get covered.
Okay.
And they're sitting on logs out in the middle of the day. And
So
it's only the only time I get to see beavers.
So I know that you are a master photographer, but you want people to bring their cameras too, right?
Oh, I'm gonna be giving them some photo tips.
Okay.
I mean, it's easier and it's harder in these digital cameras, but I will definitely give them some tips.
There you go. This is something very special, so give us a call right now. That's a credit card contribution of $1,500 or more. You're going to receive that private Atchafalaya Swamp Tour. That would be you, the contributor, up to 2 guests and CC in a boat. In a boat. Is it a powered boat?
No, I'm going to make them paddle.
Oh, gosh.
No. We're in my special photo bateau, which is a great way to see the swamp.
Okay, so this would be a great time for you to call us right now. If you haven't done it so far, 888-769-5000 is what you need. We want to talk about a couple of other things here, as a matter of fact. Oh, here we go. This is about an additional gift of $100 or more. With that additional gift of $100 or more, you're going to be entered into a drawing for 2 first-class tickets. That's 2 first-class tickets to Dublin, Ireland from Delta Airlines. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to enjoy first-class service on your way to the Emerald Isle. It's named one of National Geographic's best trips of 2018. You will receive the charm of a place described as Europe's largest village. There's only 300 tickets that are going to be sold, and the deadline to enter is Sunday, May 13th. So right now would be a good chance for you to get on board with that raffle. That's for $100 extra in addition to whatever you're pledging. So if you're enjoying this great evening of nature programs, Louisiana nature programs with Clay and Cece here, give us a call at 888-769-5000. Remember, we'll take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover, or of course, there is the sustaining membership. Just ask our phone volunteers about that. I wanted to ask you about how did you get involved with all this? How, you know, you're known as one of the great photographers of the Atchafalaya, but how did this all start for you?
Well, I just came to LSU to be an architect, changed to pre-med, and then to art, then to accounting, and finally graduated in finance, and didn't want to work inside, so I headed out to the Atchafalaya in my canoe and just fell in love with it and just really backed into it. You know, there was only 3 or 4 nature photographies in the whole country back then, and now there's about 28,000, but we love it, and I teach a lot of workshops. People love taking pictures of animals, and they're especially nice to take pictures of in the Atchafalaya.
Well, I know that you've had a long career in doing this, and I think we have a couple of photos here. Take a look at this. Tell us about what's going on here.
Well, that's when Marty Stauffer and I were making this film back in, we were filming in 76 and 77. It came out in 77. And we did it the hard way. We waited out in the swamp and hid in tree stumps to photograph the egrets and alligators and all the birds.
Wow, you were right there. Now here you are in the middle of a tree. What's going on here? What is it?
That was the caption picture at the end of National Geographic for my first National Geographic story. But that's, you know, I'd hide in stumps a lot to take pictures of the animals out there.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. Do we have another one? Yes, we do. This is a famous one.
Oh, yeah. Get
Hi,
that
everyone.
Water level view. And, you know, the alligators have really increased since these days. So I stick my foot in a little slower these days. But I'll still go swimming out there.
I'm going to say that's something. I'm not sure if I'd be doing that one, so my hat's off to you if I were wearing one. That is a fantastic view. You've had a long career, and we want everybody to celebrate Cece's career and the beautiful Atchafalaya Swamp by giving us a call right now at 888-769-5000 or go online to lpb.org. But this is a very special break we wanted to mention. So, Cece, let's go over that member challenge again, shall we?
Well, these members, Marilyn Bramer, Mary Danka, Harriet Miller, Susan Bush, Merritt McDonald, Mark Posner, Mary Terrell Joseph, and Andrea and Wally McMakin are proud to support the programming on LPB and are challenging all viewers to donate tonight, and they will match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during the break only. In effect, this will make your donation worth twice as much.
Wow, so that's what we need for
we
them
like
to do.
that, double your money.
Exactly, double your money right now and help us bring more great programming for you and your family here on LPB. You know, CC, LPB has an easy way for you to become a member with our sustaining membership. You tell us how much you want to donate each month, and then what happens is LPB gets your funds on a regular, ongoing basis. Now, folks, you can choose from $10, $20, even $100 a month to be taken from your bank account or from a debit or a credit card. And LPB will get the funds it needs to continue to providing you with great programming all year long. So call us now to set up your sustaining membership. You're going to thank yourself, and your family's going to thank you for helping more wonderful programming come across on your screen here on LPB. And I saw just a moment ago we had that raffle information again, so let's go over that one again. Now, that's for when you call in your number, call in your pledge at 888-769-5000, and you give us an additional gift of $100. You're going to be entered into a drawing for 2 first-class tickets to Dublin, Ireland from Delta Airlines. You're going to enjoy first-class service all the way to the Emerald Isle. It's named National Geographic's Best Trips of 2018, and you're going to experience the charm of a place that's been described as Europe's largest village. There's only 300 tickets to be sold. The deadline to enter is Sunday, May 13th, so right now, call us at 888-769-5000 or go online to lpb.org. Cece, you know, about this film, tell us about this film and how it came to be and what inspired you to start documenting this. I mean, you were doing still photography, but you wanted to do more than that. And certainly this film, which I understand is now 40 years old?
41 years old.
41 years old. This is a classic piece of filmmaking here. How'd you do this?
And it started off big time. We were trying to sell tickets for $2 a head back in 1977, and we were having it at the LSU Union, and we couldn't decide to have it in the theater with 200 people or the Colonnade with 1,000 people, and we decided to go for it, and we let 1,400 people in, sitting in between the rows, and turned away 400. So it got off to a big bang, but nobody knew about the Atchafalaya, and I had a small exhibit at L&B building of 35 prints from the Atchafalaya, and people would come in and say, "What's that?" I mean, 18 miles away, and they didn't know. So I got my buddy Marty Stauffer to come down and help me make this film. And we spent a year out there, and we taught people about the Atchafalaya.
So it was a year out there, you and Marty.
Oh yeah, you got to cover all 4 seasons, as you noticed in the front of the film.
Okay. So this is a great time for you to call, because once again we're presenting a film that, for the most part, you know, where you're going to see it. You're going to see it here. So give us a call right now at the number you see on your screen. And I wanted to remind everyone that included in all of these thank you gift levels, you're also going to have access to Passport. Now, CC, Passport is LPB's version of a streaming service here. You're going to explore a library of more than 1,000 hours of your favorite PBS and LPB programs. Now that's going to include things like Masterpiece, Nova, Nature, Antiques Roadshow. You can do this from your smart TV, from your computer, your tablet, your phone. You're also going to receive, of course, Visions, LPB's monthly program guide, and Louisiana Life magazine. Enjoy all these benefits with a tax-deductible contribution. All you have to do is place a call to LPB right now at 888-769-5000, or you can go online to lpb.org and make that pledge of support. And you know, so call us right now and let's go over those gifts again, shall we? So let's fire up the graphics machine. Here we go. Your $180 pledge, only $15 a month. You'll receive Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp DVD, the program that you're seeing here tonight. You'll also get Louisiana Wild and Atchafalaya, both of these great books autographed by CC right here. And the first 10 callers are going to receive a numbered poster from CC Lockwood. Now let's see, for $120, only $10 a month, you'll receive the Louisiana Wild autograph book by CC Lockwood. $72 is only $6 a month, you'll receive Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp DVD. And CC, let's go over this again. This is the special credit card offer.
You get a high water tour of the Atchafalaya Basin if you donate $1,500. You get to take yourself and 2 friends, get a few photography lessons, and see the Atchafalaya and the beautiful spring green with the water up, and it will be an exciting trip.
This is something very special, and it's something that's a very special offer. We appreciate you offering this to us. We want everyone out there to take advantage of this. So if you haven't called already, and I see there's quite a few folks on the phone, so don't worry if you can't get through, just keep calling. We'll get to you. 888-769-5000 is the number here. It's a toll-free number. Or you can go online to lpb.org, make that pledge of support. CC's here. We're going to be back in just a few moments, but we want to show you out there the other half of this fantastic program. It's been, as you said, over 40 years since you made this. You think it still holds up?
It's still current. It tells Atchafalaya like it is, and a beautiful place, important place to every individual in the state and this country. And it's my favorite place, as I said.
I know you keep going back to it. Everybody, I wanted to thank the folks out there. It's the UCT, United Commercial Travelers. They're answering the phones. The Member Challenge, of course, we wanted to thank Marilyn Bramer and Susan Bush and Mary Danka, Mary Joseph, Meredith McDonald, Andrea and Wally McMakin, Harriet Miller, Mark Posner. The food is from Casa Maria and Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Thank you very much for that. It was very, very good. All of you folks out there who have called in, we appreciate those calls of support. We'll keep the programming coming into you day in and day out for you and your family with those pledges. So remember, we'll take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Here's a good pledge right here. Who is this?
Edwin Egerton from West Monroe, Louisiana.
Okay, Edgar, thank you very much for that pledge. We're going to be going back to the program now, but you know what? We're going to be right here. We're going to be taking your pledges. I'm going to mention the number once again, 888-769-5000. You can go online to our secure service at lpb.org. Make your pledge of support. We're going to be going back to the program now, but remember, this is the time to call. Last for that Member Challenge. Give us a call right now, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just as woodpeckers need mature trees to feed in, our national emblem needs the big trees to nest in. At the present, there are 8 eagle nests in Louisiana, and all are in or near the Atchafalaya Basin. If the eagles are to survive, they must have suitable habitat to feed in and trees to nest in. Some of the forests in the Atchafalaya are being cleared for pulpwood and planted for soybeans. This destroys the trees that produce oxygen, the swamps that filter our water, the nesting and feeding sites for birds, the cover for deer and squirrels, and a place for man to return to nature. Man needs his agricultural lands and his lumber, but here in the spillway, the land should be left as man found it, not only because it is used as a floodway, but to keep a productive natural area for generations to come. In this vast swampland, it seems that the eagles should be secure as they sit high above the rest of the world. But they face another problem. Up to 6 eagles are found shot each year. Most are killed. This one was found by a game warden and then brought to a veterinarian who pinned its broken leg and wing. Alive, but never to fly again. Let the eagles fly. We now have a choice. We can preserve and protect our eagles and their habitat, or let them vanish, as did most of our large predators, the cougar, the black bear, and the red wolf. Today, the Atchafalaya supports a few black bears. It should support more. The 1,800 square miles of swamp wilderness would be a perfect place to reintroduce these 3 large mammals back into Louisiana. It's possible. Man has proven this with the great egret. Below you can see thousands of nesting egrets. At the turn of the century, this beautiful bird was nearing extinction. They were killed for their breeding plumage, used to adorn ladies' hats. Finally, the wanton slaughter was stopped, and with areas like the Everglades and the Atchafalaya, the egret population has returned to normal. Even with man on its side, the great egret still has predators. The alligator rarely hunts an adult bird, but he does wait patiently under the nest for a chick or an egg to fall. Life goes on in the rookery with little concern for the alligator. Here a mother bird lands at her nest. Another incubates her eggs, while another is fishing nearby. After the eggs hatch, there are 3 white balls of fuzzy feathers, ugly in comparison to their mother's snowy splendor. The adult birds take good care of the helpless young and feed them by regurgitating the fish they have caught in a nearby bayou. Some never hatch, but there are many nests and eggs. Thus, nature has allowed for enough to survive. To the south lies Atchafalaya Bay, an area unique in geologic growth. The tremendous load of silt the Mississippi pours into the Atchafalaya is filling up the shallow water of the bay. Islands have formed in the last decade, creating valuable wildlife habitat. Many species of birds are now using them as a nesting area. Atchafalaya Bay is one of the only areas in the nation where a land building process is taking place. Most of the Gulf coastline is losing land by erosion to the sea. Thus, the marshland formed by the Atchafalaya will make up for that land lost elsewhere. The marsh, a buffer between the sea and the land, is crucial in its role as a breeding ground for Gulf fish, as well as a feeding area for birds and mammals. Reptiles are a major part of every wetland. The green anole, showing its mating display, is a member of the lizard family. The basin is the home for many other species of reptiles, mostly snakes and turtles. In the winter, the Atchafalaya is home for millions of ducks and geese, as it is situated at the southern end of the Mississippi Flyway. The killdeer is one of the shorebirds that spend the winter here. Then in the spring, the Atchafalaya becomes an important habitat for the birds coming from the south. This prothonotary warbler is one of the migrants that makes its nest here after spending the winter in South America. Whether it be ducks in the winter or the warblers in the summer, the Atchafalaya Basin is vital at some time of the year to over 300 species of birds. And only in the Atchafalaya can one find the rare and definitely mystical ball-headed blackbird.
Jumping out that cypress tree, praying that I'll miss her knees, swimming out here as fun as can be. Splishing and splashing while the fish they were relaxing. We're having a ball from here in the sea. I love to come out to the swamp, swimming, splashing, walking, stomping, having fun in the spillway, wishing we could do it every day. Jumping out that cypress tree, praying that I'll miss her knees.
And what fun it can be. This vast tract of wetlands offers recreational opportunities like swimming, canoeing, fishing, photography, and, well, just plain old fooling around. You have seen the fantastic fisheries that are 2.5 times more productive than the Everglades. You have seen the many species of birds that use the basin. The deer, the otter, and now the raccoon, another of the many swampland mammals. Others include the mink, muskrat, nutria, bobcat, and the flying squirrel, here at its hollow tree home. The Atchafalaya also has the fox and gray squirrels, which live among the treetops and feed on nuts and fruit, as does the flying squirrel. But unlike their smaller cousin, the tree squirrels cannot glide through the air from tree to tree. Since man first tampered with the Mississippi River in 1837, much has been lost. Shall we continue to change our habitat with major channelization projects, ones that will make our natural waterways into a conglomeration of man-made canals? So far, the Atchafalaya, with its great size, has taken man's abuse and been able to maintain its delicate life cycles, its abundant aquatic life, and its natural beauty. Now it is left to the hearts and minds of the American people to let it die, or to take the Atchafalaya aside and let this great living river be a place where peacefulness and beauty will be preserved forever.
Well, hello again. I'm Clay Fourier, the executive producer here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and I'm welcoming you back to Festival. That's LPB's membership drive. What have you just watched? You've watched Atchafalaya, America's largest river-based swamp. What you, our viewers, tell us you want most to see are those stories about Louisiana. That's right, stories like we produce here at LPB, stories like what you just saw that Cece and Marty did. So today, we invite you to become a producer of LPB. That's right, your pledge at 888-769-5000 will help us make programming possible. And you're going to help produce those stories about Louisiana, about its natural habitat, about the people who live in it, the culture that's developed because of the habitat. Take a moment right now and let us know that you value what you're seeing with your pledge of support. Call us toll-free at 888-769-5000 or go online to lpb.org. You see the phone volunteers, they're right there, they're ready to take your pledge. And of course, they will tell you about the many terrific thank you gifts, especially selected for this broadcast, that we will share with you in just a few moments. But first, here's Cece Lockwood. He's back. This is the film you've been watching tonight, your film right there. We've got something very special that we want to tell everyone, and it's going to be about a credit card offer, isn't it?
I think so.
Here we go. Let's go ahead. I have a blue card right here for Cece. Okay. Go for it.
All of them?
Yep. No, just this one right here about the special credit card pledge. I'll take care of the rest.
We've already got Wendell and Laura Lindsay that purchased that, but we could do another one if somebody else wants to contribute a credit card of $1,500 or more.
Okay.
And I'll take you out on a private tour and teach you about photography and show you the Atchafalaya and the springtime and the beautiful, beautiful high water that we're having this year.
Okay, so
kind of scary, but
so who is it we've got here?
Wendell and Laura Lindsay. Laura Lindsay was director of the LSU Museum at the Shaw Center when My Marsh Mission with Ray book came out with Ray Gary.
Wow.
And the exhibit started there and it traveled around the country, and Laura did a great job helping with that exhibit.
Okay, you can also be involved with one of these great swamp tours with Cece. And that, by the way, is a wonderful place. You'll have a boat, you'll have you, up to 2 guests, and Cece. You're going to be teaching them a little bit or giving them some special little hints about photographing nature?
I will, and everybody's got a digital camera, or at least a cell phone, you know.
At least a cell phone these days.
We could get some good pictures for
I
them.
tell you what, this is one of those once-in-a-lifetime events for a lot of you folks out there. So right now, call us at 888-769-5000. Let's go on over all the gifts that we have. When you call in that number right there, you can use a Visa, a MasterCard, American Express, Discover. You can ask about the sustaining membership. For your pledge of $180 or more, and if you do the math, that's only $15 a month, you'll receive first and foremost the DVD of the program that you've just seen here tonight, Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp. You'll also get Louisiana Wild and Atchafalaya. Those are autographed books by you, Cece, by the way. And I'm sure by this point we've gotten them all out of our way here, but if there are maybe a few more, it's for callers. The first 10 callers, they're going to receive a numbered poster from Cece. Now, let's say for $120, only $10 a month, the Louisiana Wild autograph book by Cece Lockwood can be yours. And if you'd like the DVD of the program that you've just seen here, that's only $72 a month, only $70 a year, only $6 a month. And of course, there's the wonderful, wonderful trip that we've talked about for $1,500 or more. So call us right now at the number you see on your screen, because you can be part of this situation where a tour, this person, 2 other people, so 3 people total plus you.
That's it.
And where do you go?
Atchafalaya Basin.
Okay.
Best place in the world.
And what do you see out there?
You see beautiful swamp in its spring lime green colors, and hopefully a lot of animals.
Okay, so they'll have to have their cameras out there or their cell phones, you know, whatever, to take pictures, and you'll be able to tell them, well, no, move here, do this or something, or give them a few little tips. So a great chance for you folks out there. If you haven't already, call us right now at 888-769-5000 or go online to lpb.org. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about some photographs that we had here of you. And I think that we wanted to mention those one more time, because there was a photograph of you. Well, here you go. This is you and Marty.
That's us.
And this is how you were shooting a lot of what we were seeing here tonight.
Yeah, that's when we were actually working on this film, and We waded a lot to blinds where
Okay.
we built little tree houses to photograph eagles and egrets and herons and alligators. And that was
Okay, now there's another picture here. What's coming up? Oh, this is the one here. You said this. Was this the one that National Geographic used?
yeah, I did my first big work for National Geographic was on the Atchafalaya Basin.
Okay.
And it was the feather in my cap to finally get in there, and that was the author photo at the end of the article.
The author photo,
of where I
okay.
took a lot of the shots from.
And I think we've got another one or two right here. There you go. There's the famous one in the water.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
That's in Duck Lake, really pretty part of the Atchafalaya.
There you go. Now, you mentioned about National Geographic. How did you become involved? I mean, what was it like being contacted by National Geographic, for gosh sake?
Well, I contacted them a lot
Oh,
first
okay.
before they contacted
Were
me.
you hounding them? I mean, what were you doing?
I didn't hound them, but every 6 months I
You'd
was
call and
just
say-
smitten with the Atchafalaya. And I said,
Okay.
this is a special place.
Yeah.
You guys need to do an article on it. And they said, oh, it's too much like the Big Thicket we did last year, or we're not interested in swamps this year.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, they saw this film, and they actually saw a brochure and invited me up to show the film, and they hired me at the end of the film to come down and shoot the magazine story.
Wow, what a story.
And that led to a lot of other things. My Atchafalaya book,
Yeah.
exhibits, and then Calvin and Gwen were subjects and friends out there. And she ended up writing a book, Atchafalaya Houseboat, which y'all produced in that movie.
That's right.
And that was
Atchafalaya
all
Houseboat.
because of a picture in National Geographic that whole
All of that came
story
to
got
mind.
going. So.
Well, mentioning that, we're very proud of everything that we've done and the films that we've shown here on LPB and helped bring to the public out there. Of course, your film that we've shown here again tonight. Also, Atchafalaya Swamp Revisited, you, Bill Rodman and such. And then, as you mentioned, Atchafalaya Houseboat. So we want to continue those wonderful Louisiana moments, but we can only do it with your pledge of support. So call us right now at the number you see on your screen, 888-769-5000. Go online to lpb.org. And let's go through those gifts again. That's what I wanted to do. Let's go through those gifts one more time here. So for your $180 pledge, $180, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. There you go. You get the DVD, Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp, for your library, your video library. Speaking of library, you get the Louisiana Wild and Atchafalaya books. They're both autographed by C.C. Lockwood. Then for your $120 pledge, only $10 a month, you'll receive the Louisiana Wild autographed book by C.C. Lockwood. $72, only $6 a month, you're going to receive Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp. That's a DVD of the program that we've shown you here tonight, so you can have that added to your library to show over and over again. Folks, I wanted to mention to you that when I went through the thank you gifts, you saw that LPB offers two options in giving. You can either donate the entire membership level at one time, and that's when I was mentioning those credit cards, for example, or you can opt for the sustaining membership. As a sustaining member, you set up LPB to receive monthly amounts that you control. Now, it could be $5 or $20 or even $100 a month. You determine if it comes from your bank account or your credit card or your debit card. LPB makes it easy for you to give. Consider becoming a sustaining member now with your call to us at 888-769-5000. Every membership helps keep LPB alive and well. It's your public television network in Louisiana, and we thank you very much for that. We thank you, of course, for being here too. You've got another special thank you. Who is this person who's called in?
Recent call in, David Bounds from Marshall, Texas. Thank you.
Okay, you've documented the coast for a long time, haven't you?
All my projects end up in water somehow.
Yeah, that's
even
right.
the Grand Canyon from the Colorado River, the Yucatan, which is in the Caribbean, and this beautiful cenotes. But I've stick to the Louisiana wetlands, whether it's swamp, marsh, bays, islands, and just it fascinates me. And water's so important, and being more and more important as the population grows. So we're happy to have all this in Louisiana.
I imagine it is, because one of the things I wanted to mention is we're looking at a film that's 41 years old. And I know things have changed. Can you give me an idea of how things are different now than they were back then?
Well, we have a lot more people that care about the environment, and
Okay.
care about keeping some places as pristine as we can. And the Atchafalaya, just flowing through all that vegetation and trees, it purifies the water that comes down the Mississippi from 2/3 of America, and that's gone through a lot of people,
Oh, yeah.
But so it's recreation, natural resources, and hurricane protection, all kinds of things. So it's a valuable place, but myself and all the other environmentalists have got people knowing how important this stuff is in coastal Louisiana.
Really. Okay, now you know, folks, I mentioned those gifts a little while ago, but I want to. Let's go mention this again, and that's for a special credit card contribution of $1,500 or more. You're going to receive this. It's a very private Atchafalaya swamp tour with this man right here, CC Lockwood. It's going to be for you and 2 guests with CC in the boat over there. It's going to be what, in a few weeks or something, or a month or so? What would be the best time to go?
In the next 6 weeks is when it's the prettiest, in my opinion.
Okay, and you're going to be able to take all the photographs, and Cece's going to, of course, give you a few little pointers there on shooting nature photography. It can all be yours for that $1,500 pledge. We got somebody else here?
Cornell and Jan
Tramontana. Sorry if we messed that up there. From Baton Rouge, right here, Louisiana. Thank you very much, Cornell and Jan. We appreciate that pledge of support. Hopefully, you will be one of the people that will help us produce more great programs here on LPB. And you know what? I think it's time to do that challenge result. You remember we had the challenge break last time. So, CC, here's what we've got here. We had, it's written right here, 5 members called in during our member challenge break for a total of $2,000. Now that adds to that member challenge of $1,500, and that will mean that we raised $3,500 for that. Thank you for your generous support. Lots of everybody
great.
out there. Thank you very much. Those who have called in for that, we really appreciate it. If you haven't called in yet, though, you know what? Cece and I are right here for a few more minutes, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that.
We've got so many people interested in the Atchafalaya. I think y'all ought to produce more swamp films.
You know what? And with enough funding, we can do that. You know, folks, speaking of funding, that can come down to you, too. So call us at 888-769-5000. or go online to lpb.org, make that pledge of support. Remember, we've done a lot of programs here before. Well, we've mentioned the Atchafalaya Swamp Revisited, Atchafalaya Houseboat, all of those programs. We have nature programs. We have enjoyed putting these programs together for the folks, for the viewers here in Louisiana. We can only make those programs work, though, with that pledge of support. So call us right now. The number's on your screen, 888-769-5000. We wanted to mention one more time about the gifts, so let's go over those again real quickly. Once again, we have operators standing by. So for your $180 pledge, or only $15 a month, you can do it one time on Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover, or you can ask them about the sustaining membership that I talked to you about just a little earlier. You'll receive Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp DVD, the program we've just shown you here tonight, 2 books by CC Lockwood, Louisiana Wild and Atchafalaya, and CC's going to autograph those for you. For a $120 pledge, only $10 a month, you'll receive the Louisiana Wild autograph book by CC Lockwood. And for $72, only $6 a month, you'll receive the Atchafalaya, America's largest river basin swamp DVD. So call us right now at those numbers you see on your screen, or go online to lpb.org and make that pledge of support.
Well, Clay, look here. Gene Seneca called from Grosstet, and he helped out with Atchafalaya Revisited with Bill Rodman. And him and his family were part of that film. He says hello. They're watching tonight.
There you go. Say hello back to him. There you go. Hello, Gene. Listen, folks, coming up next is a very special encore. It's Alive in America's Delta, Black Bear Comeback, because we're all about those type of nature programs here in Louisiana. So stay tuned. We'll be back with some more great nature programs in just a moment. But we did want to mention, of course, we wanted to thank the UCT, that's the United Commercial Travelers, dedicated to community service. They've been answering the phones and running the cameras here tonight. We also want to thank our food folks, that's Casa Maria and the Baton Rouge Coca-Cola. Thank you very much for those great food and that great beverage over there. And we wanted to mention one more time, with an additional gift of $100, you're going to be entered into that drawing for 2 first-class tickets to Dublin, Ireland from Delta Airlines. You're going to enjoy first-class service all the way to the Emerald Isle. It is named one of National Geographic's, there you go, National Geographic, CC, best trips of 2018. You're going to receive the charm, and you're going to experience the charm of a place described as Europe's largest village. So this is a great time to call in. There are all those gifts. We'll go over it one more time, too. That credit card contribution of $1,500 or more, they're going to go with you somewhere?
Big trip in the Atchafalaya.
Okay, big trip in the Atchafalaya right there. So call us right now at the number on your screen. Cece, thank you for coming by. Thank you for offering all that. Great friend of LPB. We appreciate it. Let's go to our next nature program.